First Contact Initiative. The Zentari Defense Station, eternal vigil hung in the darkness of space, its crystalline spires reflecting starlight like frozen tears. High Commander Vexera stood at her observation post, all four of her secondary eyes focused on the holographic displays, while her primary eye remained fixed on the vast emptiness beyond the station's shields. The silence broke with a cascade of emergency alerts. Unknown vessel detected in Sector 7, announced the station's eye. Energy signature exceeds all known Commonwealth classifications. Vexera's crystalline exoskeleton clicked as she straightened. Show me. The holographic display shifted, revealing a massive vessel unlike anything in Commonwealth records. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with strange geometric patterns that seemed to ripple across its surface. But what truly caught Vexera's attention were the weapon systems, or rather, their apparent absence. No visible weapon arrays, reported her second-in-command, Televor, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. But these energy readings, Commander, whatever this ship is, it could power 3 Zentari cities for a decade. Or destroy them in seconds, Vexera added quietly. The Commonwealth had avoided Earth and its surrounding systems for generations, declaring the entire region forbidden space after their long-range observations revealed a species that turned their own planet's nuclear weapons into deterrents, a species that reached their moon using controlled explosions and mathematical precision rather than gravity manipulation, a species that seemed to thrive on pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The unknown vessel began broadcasting on all frequencies, using perfect Commonwealth standard language. Zentari Defense Station, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Prometheus. We come in peace and request emergency diplomatic contact. Time is of the essence. The command center fell silent. Humans, here, thousands of light years from their quarantine space, in a ship that defied Commonwealth understanding of physics. Weapons status. Vexera demanded. All systems powered down. Telvor reported, his voice trembling. Their shields are active but configured defensively. They're making themselves vulnerable. That didn't match anything in the historical records. Humans were supposed to be aggressive, unpredictable. This calculated show of trust was something else entirely. Commander, the ship's eye interrupted. I'm detecting quantum entanglement signatures from the human vessel. They appear to be impossible. The entanglement field encompasses the entire ship. Vexera's primary eye widened. Quantum entanglement on that scale shouldn't be possible. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical. Yet these humans had not only achieved it but built it into a spacecraft. Open a channel, she ordered. The humans had their attention. Captain Chen's image appeared on the main display. She was younger than Vexera expected, with features that spoke of calm confidence rather than military aggression. Thank you for receiving us, Commander. I understand our arrival is unexpected and concerning. We wouldn't have violated the quarantine zone if the situation weren't dire. Explain yourself quickly, Captain, Vexera replied, noting how the human showed no surprise or disgust at her alien appearance. Your presence here violates 17 Commonwealth treaties. 17 days ago, we lost contact with our Deep Space Research Station Omega. When our rescue ships arrived, they found only debris and this. Chen transmitted a data packet. The images it contained made Vexera's exoskeleton crack with stress, a sound that drew concerned looks from her crew. The footage showed something impossible, a tear in space itself, a wound in reality that leaked darkness. And from that darkness came things that should not exist. Massive, crystalline entities that ignored the laws of physics, that consumed energy and matter alike, that learned and adapted with terrifying speed. We call them the Void Spawn, Chen continued. They've already consumed 3 uninhabited systems. Their next target appears to be Commonwealth space. We tried to stop them alone, but she paused, and for the first time, Vexera saw fear in those alien eyes. We lost 2 of our most advanced ships just slowing them down. That's why we're here. Not to fight, not to conquer, but because we believe that only by working together do any of us stand a chance. Vexera studied the human captain carefully. Her species had evolved to detect deception. Subtle changes in energy fields that all living things produced when they lied. She found none here, only determination, fear, and something else. Hope. The Commonwealth Council will need to verify these claims, Vexera said finally. And your presence here will cause considerable panic. We understand. That's why we came in openly, broadcasting our presence. No stealth, no hidden agenda. The void spawn will reach your space in less than a month. We're willing to share all our data, all our technology, everything we know about fighting them. The question is, Commander, are you willing to look past your fears of humanity and work with us? As if in answer to Chen's question, new alarms blared throughout the station. The long-range sensors had detected something massive emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. The footage from the human ship hadn't done justice to the horror now appearing on their screens. The void spawn had arrived early. And suddenly, the presence of a human warship didn't seem so threatening anymore. Captain Chen, Vexera said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. I believe we have much to discuss, and very little time to do so. The warning. The Eternal Vigil's Grand Council chamber had never felt so small. Representatives from 12 Commonwealth species crowded around the central holo-display, their varied anatomies creating a living tapestry of evolutionary paths. Captain Chen stood at the center, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension filling the room. The void spawn aren't just consuming matter and energy, Chen explained, manipulating the hologram to show the destruction of Research Station Omega. They're learning, evolving. Each encounter makes them stronger. The footage showed crystalline entities adapting in real time to human weapons fire, their structures shifting to absorb and redirect energy. High Counselor Zixtel, a being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated environmental suit, pulsed with skepticism. And we're to believe humans, of all species, discovered this threat first. Your kind barely achieved faster than light travel 3 centuries ago. Because we look for what shouldn't exist, Chen replied, her voice firm. While the Commonwealth perfected known technologies, we explored the impossible. That's how we developed quantum entanglement drives, why we built ships that can survive traveling through the hearts of stars. We don't just ask how, we ask why not. The hologram shifted to show the Prometheus in action against a void spawn cluster. The human ship's impossible maneuvers defied conventional physics, its quantum-entangled hull allowing it to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Traditional energy weapons proved useless against the void spawn, but the humans had developed something new. Weapons that didn't destroy but rather rewrote the basic rules of space-time around their targets. 2 weeks ago, we lost contact with New Terra Colony, Chen continued, her composure cracking slightly. Population of 50,000. By the time our ships arrived, there was nothing left. Not even debris. The void spawn aren't just consuming resources, they're erasing reality itself. Commander Vexera watched the reactions around the chamber. The Zentari had always prided themselves on their logical approach to the universe, but there was nothing logical about the footage they were seeing. The void spawn violated fundamental laws of physics that the Commonwealth had built their civilization upon. If what you say is true, Elder Catull of the Meridian Collective spoke, his crystalline form resonating with concern. Why come to us? Your weapons, while unconventional, seem more advanced than anything in our arsenal. Chen's response was unexpected. She laughed, a sound that made several council members recoil. More advanced. Your civilization mastered gravity manipulation millennia ago. The Meridian Collective understands crystalline computing better than anyone in known space. The Zix have forgotten more about energy manipulation than we've ever known. She gestured to the assembled representatives. We don't need your weapons. We need your knowledge, your different ways of thinking. The void spawn adapt to everything we throw at them. Our only hope is to become as unpredictable as they are. A new alarm shattered the tense atmosphere. The chamber's displays shifted to show a real-time feed from the edge of the system. A massive tear in spacetime was forming, larger than any they'd seen in the human footage. The Void Spawn were no longer testing defenses. They were launching a full invasion. "Impossible," Vexera whispered, her exoskeleton crackling with stress. "Your estimates gave us weeks. They're evolving faster than we predicted." Chen interrupted, already moving toward the door. "They've learned to accelerate their own temporal field. We don't have time for debates anymore." She turned to face the council, her expression hard. "You can either help us fight them, or you can watch your civilization vanish into the void. Choose quickly." The chamber erupted into chaos as council members argued, but Vexera noticed something they didn't. The human captain wasn't waiting for their decision. She was already coordinating with her ship, sending battle plans and defensive strategies to every Commonwealth vessel in range. The humans had known the council might refuse to help, but they'd come anyway. They would fight regardless of the outcome, not because they had to, but because they could help. High Counselor Zixtel's energy form pulsed rapidly, their equivalent of nervous laughter. "You're going to fight them whether we help or not, aren't you?" "Yes," Chen replied simply. "But with your help, we might actually win." She paused, then added, "The Void Spawn don't discriminate. They consume everything. We can stand together now, or fall separately later." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. On the displays, the spatial tear widened, and the first wave of Void Spawn began to emerge. Their crystalline forms had changed since the earlier footage, grown more complex, more purposeful. They were learning, evolving, adapting. But so too, perhaps, could the Commonwealth. With human ingenuity and Commonwealth knowledge combined, they might stand a chance. The question was whether centuries of fear and prejudice could be overcome before it was too late. The answer came in an unexpected way. Commander Vexera stepped forward, her exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's lights. "The Zentari Defense Force stands with humanity," she declared, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Let it be recorded that in our hour of need, those we feared came to save us." One by one, other representatives stepped forward, pledging their support. The humans had brought more than warnings and weapons. They had brought hope. Now they would bring war to an enemy that threatened not just lives or territories, but existence itself. As the council chamber transformed into a war room, Captain Chen allowed herself a small smile. The real test was about to begin. Unity forged in crisis. The Eternal Vigil shuddered as another wave of Void Spawn entities slammed against its shields. In the station's newly established Joint Command Center, holographic displays showed the battle raging across 3 dimensions. Commonwealth ships fought alongside the Prometheus, their traditional formation-based tactics adapting to incorporate human-style unpredictability. "Shield integrity at 30%, reported Televor, his tentacles working multiple control interfaces simultaneously. "The Void Spawn are targeting our gravitational stabilizers. They've learned our weaknesses." Commander Vexera watched as Captain Chen studied the tactical display, the human's eyes moving rapidly between different battle zones. The Void Spawn had split into 3 distinct swarms, each using different attack patterns. They were experimenting, testing defenses, learning. "They're not targeting your stabilizers," Chen said suddenly. "Look at the attack pattern. They're trying to create a resonance cascade." She turned to Elder Kittal. "Your crystalline computing technology, can it interface with Zentari shield systems?" The Meridian Elder's crystalline form pulsed with surprise. "Theoretically, yes, but the energy requirements would be—" "We'll handle the power," Chen interrupted. "Commander Vexera, if we can synchronize your shields with our quantum drive's harmonic frequency, we might be able to turn their own attack against them." It was a crazy plan. The kind of plan that had made the Commonwealth fear humans in the first place. It was also exactly what they needed. "Do it," Vexera ordered. The next few minutes were controlled chaos. The Prometheus moved into position alongside the station, its quantum-entangled hull shimming with impossible energies. Elder Cthulhu's crystals interfaced with the station's systems, creating new pathways for power and data. Human engineers worked alongside Commonwealth technicians, combining technologies that had never been meant to interact. The Void Spawn sensed something changing. Their attack pattern shifted, becoming more aggressive. A tendril of crystalline entities broke through the defensive line, heading straight for the station. "They're adapting too quickly," Telvor warned. "Shield failure imminent." "Not yet," Chen replied, her hands dancing across the human interface she brought from her ship. "Commander, on my mark, divert all power to the primary shield array. Elder Cthulhu, prepare to channel the resonance through your crystal matrix." The Void Spawn were almost upon them. At this range, Vexera could see the impossible geometries of their forms, the way reality itself seemed to bend around them. They were beautiful in their horror, a reminder that the universe held terrors beyond comprehension. "Now," Chen shouted. Multiple systems activated simultaneously. The Prometheus's quantum drive created a field of overlapping possibilities. The station's shields, instead of trying to block the Void Spawn attack, synchronized with it. Elder Cthulhu's crystals channeled the combined energies, amplifying them through geometric progression. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality buckled. The Void Spawn's resonance attack, meant to tear the station's shields apart, instead created a feedback loop through the quantum-entangled field. Their own energy was turned against them, multiplied by the crystal matrix's perfect harmonics. The leading edge of their swarm didn't just die. It ceased to exist, erased by the same fundamental forces it had tried to exploit. All ships pressed the advantage. Chen ordered through the command network. "They'll adapt to this tactic in minutes. Make them count." Commonwealth vessels surged forward, their weapons finding new effectiveness through the quantum field generated by the Prometheus. For the first time since the battle began, the Void Spawn were forced to retreat. But victory came with a price. The Prometheus's hull was scared from channeling so much energy. Elder Cthulhu's crystal matrix showed stress fractures. The station's power systems were nearly burned out. "Damage report," Vexera demanded. "Extensive," Telvor replied, "but repairable. The real question is, how long until they come back?" "Not long," Chen said, studying new data streaming in from the battle zone. "They're already changing their crystalline structure to prevent resonance attacks. But now we know something important. They can be hurt. We just need to keep changing our approach faster than they can adapt." Vexera moved to stand beside the human captain, her exoskeleton clicking thoughtfully. "You knew this might work. That's why you came to us. Not just for our knowledge, but because the combination of different technologies, different ways of thinking, makes us unpredictable." Chen nodded. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our determination. It's our ability to take different ideas and combine them in ways no one else would think of. But we can't do it alone. Not against something like this." The tactical displays showed the Void Spawn regrouping at the edge of the system. They were already evolving, their crystalline forms becoming more complex, more resistant to the tactics that had just defeated them. But they weren't the only ones adapting. Throughout the station, humans and Commonwealth species worked together, sharing ideas and technologies. The Meridian Collective was already developing new crystal matrices based on human quantum theories. Centauri engineers were redesigning their weapons to incorporate human chaos theory principles. The Zix were teaching human scientists new ways to manipulate energy fields. "They'll be back," Telvor said, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. "Yes," Chen agreed, "but next time, we'll be ready. And we'll have something they can never truly adapt to: creativity, innovation, the ability to look at the impossible and say, why not?" Outside the station's viewports, the void between stars seemed darker than usual. The enemy was out there, learning, evolving, preparing for the next attack. But they weren't the only ones who could change. In combining human ingenuity with Commonwealth wisdom, something new was being forged. An alliance that might just be unpredictable enough to save them all. The Battle of New Dawn. 3 days of continuous combat had transformed the space around the Eternal Vigil into a graveyard of crystalline fragments and twisted metal. The combined human Commonwealth fleet had fought off 6 major void spawn attacks, each more devastating than the last. But the enemy was gathering something bigger. Captain Chen stood before the War Council, her uniform showing signs of battle fatigue. The holographic display behind her showed the largest void spawn swarm yet detected, a mass of crystalline horror larger than a small moon. "They're not just gathering for another attack," Chen explained, her voice hoarse from hours of issuing commands. "They're combining, evolving into something we haven't seen before." The tactical display showed the truth of her words. Individual void spawn entities were merging, their impossible geometries flowing together into increasingly complex structures. The resulting mass pulsed with dark energy, distorting spacetime around it. "Our latest analysis suggests they're creating a quantum singularity," Elder Catal reported, his crystalline form dulled from exhaustion. "If they succeed, they could tear this entire sector apart." Commander Vexera studied the data, her exoskeleton bearing new stress fractures from recent battles. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less," Chen replied. She manipulated the display, highlighting particular energy patterns. "See these fluctuations? They're not just building a weapon. They're creating a gateway. If that thing activates, it'll draw in reinforcements from wherever the void spawn originate." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just fighting for a single system anymore. They were fighting to prevent an invasion that could consume the entire galaxy. "We have a plan," Chen continued, "but you're not going to like it." She nodded to High Counselor Zixtel, who had been working closely with human scientists since the crisis began. The energy being pulsed with nervous light. "We've discovered that the void spawn's quantum structure has a fundamental weakness. They can adapt to any single form of attack, but their adaptation requires a moment of vulnerability as they reorganize their molecular lattice. The problem," Chen added, "is hitting them with enough different types of attacks simultaneously to overwhelm their adaptation response. We'd need perfect synchronization across multiple attack vectors, each using different fundamental forces of physics." Telvor's tentacles writhed anxiously. "That's impossible. The timing would have to be accurate to microseconds, and we'd need to coordinate hundreds of ships with completely different weapon systems." "Impossible for conventional computers," Chen agreed, "but not for a quantum-entangled neural network distributed across multiple ships." She paused, letting her next words carry their full weight. "We're going to link our minds directly into our ship systems. Every captain, every gunner, every engineer, all connected through a modified version of the Prometheus's quantum drive." The chamber erupted in protests. Neural linking was forbidden technology in Commonwealth space, considered too dangerous and unpredictable. The risks of mental corruption or permanent psychological damage were too high. "You're talking about turning our crews into a hive mind," Vexera said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Like the enemy we're fighting." "No," Chen corrected. "The void spawn are a true hive mind. Individual units subordinate to a central consciousness. What we're proposing is a symphony. Each mind remains independent but harmonizes with the others. The quantum entanglement will let us coordinate with perfect precision while maintaining our individuality." She turned to Elder Catal. "Your crystalline computing technology can stabilize the neural links. The Zix understand consciousness as pure energy. They can help protect our minds during the merger. And the Zentary's experience with complex system management can help us maintain control." "The risks," Vexera began, "are nothing compared to what happens if we fail," Chen interrupted. She pointed to the tactical display, where the void spawn mass continued to grow. "That thing out there. It's not just gathering power. It's learning from every battle, every tactic we've used. By the time it finishes evolving, nothing we have will be able to stop it. The chamber fell silent again, but this time it was a silence of consideration rather than fear. They had all seen how the combination of human and Commonwealth technologies had achieved the impossible. Perhaps it was time to take that combination to its ultimate conclusion. "How many ships do you need?" Vexera asked finally. "All of them," Chen replied without hesitation. "Every ship, every weapon, every mind willing to join the link. We get one shot at this, one chance to hit them with everything we have, in perfect synchronization, before they can adapt." The next few hours were a blur of preparation. Crystal matrices were installed in ship after ship, modified by human engineers to interface with neural systems. The Zix created energy fields to protect the minds of linked crews. Commonwealth technicians worked alongside human specialists, combining technologies in ways their designers had never imagined. The Prometheus hung at the center of the fleet, its quantum-entangled hull humming with power. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Chen sat in a modified control chair, neural interfaces gleaming against her temples. "All ships report ready," Telvor announced from his station on the Eternal Vigil. "Neural links are stable. Quantum field is maintaining coherence." Chen closed her eyes, feeling the first touches of other minds against her consciousness. Hundreds of captains, thousands of crew members, all maintaining their individuality while joining in a greater harmony. Through their combined perception, she could see the battle space in perfect clarity. Every ship, every weapon, every possibility. The void spawn mass had nearly completed its transformation. Dark energy crackled around its crystalline surface, reality itself beginning to tear at its edges. "All ships," Chen broadcast, her voice carrying through both conventional channels and the neural link, "prepare for synchronized attack. Remember, we are not one mind, but many minds working in perfect harmony. Let them feel the full creativity of our combined consciousness." The battle that would decide the fate of the sector was about to begin. Legacy of Stars. The neural link transformed space battle into symphony. Through the quantum-entangled network, thousands of minds moved as one while remaining distinctly themselves. Captain Chen felt every ship in the fleet as clearly as she felt her own heartbeat, each vessel a unique instrument in an orchestra of war. The void spawn mass had grown to terrifying proportions, its crystalline surface crackling with dark energy. Space itself worked around it, reality straining against the impossible geometries of its form. At its center, a quantum singularity was forming, a gateway to horrors beyond comprehension. All ships in position. Commander Vexera's thoughts echoed through the neural link. Her consciousness carried the crystalline precision of Zenturi tactical thinking, adding structure to the chaos of human innovation. Through their combined perception, they could see the void spawn in ways no single species could comprehend. The Zix recognized patterns in its energy fields. The Meridian Collective understood the mathematics of its crystalline structure. Humans saw the impossible possibilities in its quantum state. "Begin the attack sequence." Chen broadcast through both neural link and conventional channels. "Remember, we are not fighting as one mind, but as many minds in harmony. Let our diversity be our strength." The battle unfolded like a dance choreographed across quantum states. Zenturi cruisers opened with synchronized graviton bursts, their attacks precisely timed through the neural link. The void spawn began to adapt, their crystalline structure shifting to absorb the gravitational forces. But this was only the first movement of the symphony. As the enemy focused on adapting to graviton weapons, Meridian ships struck from 12 different vectors, their crystal-based weapons resonating at frequencies calculated by human chaos theorists. The void spawn's defenses fractured, trying to adapt to two different attack types simultaneously. Now, Chen's command rippled through the neural link. The Prometheus engaged its quantum drive at full power, creating a field of overlapping possibilities around the enemy. Reality itself became uncertain, forcing the void spawn to try to adapt to multiple states of existence at once. Through the neural link, Chen felt the strain on her ship and crew. The quantum drive was never meant to operate at this level. Hull integrity was failing. Power systems were overloading. But they couldn't stop, not when they were so close. Third wave, execute. Vexera's thoughts carried the full authority of her command. 6 vessels moved into position, their energy-form crews channeling power in ways that defied conventional physics. They didn't attack the void spawn directly. Instead, they began altering the fundamental forces around it, changing the very rules the enemy relied on to exist. The massive crystalline entity writhed, its surface shifting through impossible colors as it tried to adapt to multiple attacks across multiple states of reality. But adaptation required stability, and there was no stability to be found in the quantum chaos the fleet had created. It's working. Elder Catal's thoughts carried both excitement and concern. The entity's quantum structure is destabilizing, but the feedback is affecting our neural link. We're losing cohesion. Chen felt it too. The neural connection was beginning to fragment, the perfect harmony of thousands of minds starting to dissolve into discord. The strain of maintaining such complex coordination was overwhelming their safeguards. Hold the line, she commanded, pushing her own consciousness through the link to help stabilize the others. We need one more strike. Everything we have, perfectly synchronized. Through the fragmenting neural link, she shared her plan. It was reckless, desperate, and exactly what they needed. Human intuition, Zentary precision, meridian crystalline technology, and Zix energy manipulation, all combined into a single, impossible attack. All ships plot collision courses, she ordered, feeling the shock and then understanding ripple through the fleet. Quantum drives at full power, crystal matrices to maximum resonance, energy fields focused forward. The void spawn entity seemed to sense their intention. Its surface rippled with increasing desperation, trying to stabilize itself enough to complete its transformation. The quantum singularity at its core pulsed with dark promise. Salvation or destruction, only moments away. This is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth. She broadcast on all frequencies, her voice carrying through both space and the neural link. Remember this moment. Remember that when the universe presented us with the impossible, we faced it together. As one, the fleet surged forward. Every ship's quantum drive activated simultaneously, their fields combining through the neural link into a single massive probability wave. Reality itself buckled under the strain. The void spawn's crystalline surface began to fracture, unable to adapt to an attack that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Its own dimensional gateway, meant to bring reinforcements, instead became its undoing. The combined power of the fleet's suicide run forced the portal to collapse in on itself, creating a feedback loop of cosmic proportions. Through the neural link, Chen felt the Prometheus's hull beginning to disintegrate. Power systems were going critical across the fleet. But in those final moments, she also felt something else, a sense of unity and purpose that transcended species or civilization. The explosion, when it came, was both an ending and a beginning. The void spawn entity didn't just die. It ceased to exist, erased from reality by the very forces it had tried to manipulate. The quantum backlash swept through the fleet, overloading systems and severing neural connections. When the light faded and reality stabilized, the space around the eternal vigil was transformed. Where the void spawn had been, there was now only empty space and scattered debris. But something else had changed too, something more fundamental. The surviving ships limped back to the station, their crews forever altered by their experience of sharing consciousness across species boundaries. The neural link was gone, but its effects lingered in understanding that transcended normal communication. In the station's council chamber, now bearing scars from multiple battles, Captain Chen stood before the assembled representatives. Her uniform was torn, her neural interface damaged, but her eyes were bright with purpose. "The void spawn are gone," she reported, "at least this vanguard. But more importantly, we've proven something I think we all needed to learn. The Commonwealth feared humanity because we were unpredictable, dangerous. We feared you because you were different, set in your ways. But together we're something new, something neither of us could be alone." Commander Vexera stepped forward, her exoskeleton bearing new battle scars that she would wear with pride. "The humans came to us not to conquer, but to save. They showed us that our differences are not weaknesses, but strengths waiting to be combined." "The question," High Counselor Zixtel pulsed thoughtfully, "is what we do with this understanding." Chen smiled. "We build something new, together. Because out there, beyond the stars we know, there are more impossible things waiting. And now we know how to face them, not as separate species trying to survive alone, but as a harmony of different voices creating something greater than ourselves." The chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Through the station's viewports, stars glittered against the void, no longer a darkness to be feared, but a frontier to be explored by races working together, combining their strengths and overcoming their differences. The legacy of their victory wasn't just survival. It was the beginning of a new age, one where humanity's drive to achieve the impossible would combine with Commonwealth wisdom to create something neither had imagined possible. And somewhere out in that infinite darkness, other void spawn waited. But when they came, they would find not divided civilizations easy to conquer, but a unity forged in crisis, tempered by battle, and strengthened by diversity. They would find that the most unpredictable force in the universe wasn't chaos or adaptation, but the power of different minds working together to achieve the impossible.